If you're an EMT or an advanced EMT and you're thinking about paramedic school, I got 5 things you should probably know before you start. Number 1, and I'm going to lose a lot of you on this, paramedic school is actually easier than EMT. Now, I don't mean paramedic school is less work. Paramedic is obviously more volume. It's longer class hours, more clinicals, more skills. But as far as challenging, I want you to think back to when you went to EMT class. Everything you learned was new. When you go to paramedic school, you're just expanding on things that you've already demonstrated you understood. Do me this favor. Take your EMT book and a paramedic book, lay them side by side and compare the table of contents. You seeing any kind of pattern? It is a lot harder to lay a foundational knowledge than it is to expand on existing knowledge. Now, a lot of EMTs and advanced EMTs struggle in EMT school because it's so much new information. So they just assume with how much more you have to learn as paramedic, it's going to be that same effect magnified. But if you took the EMT and advanced EMT curriculum out of the paramedic textbook, you wouldn't be left with much material. So you have the intelligence to get the paramedic. You just got to ask yourself whether you have the grit. Which brings me to my second point. Paramedic school is a marathon, not a sprint. I see a lot of students struggle with National Registry because they went through class just content with passing the test. You should go into every lecture, every test, expecting to make 100. Now, I'm not saying you need to make 100, but the higher we aim, the higher we miss. And then at the end of class, when they're scheduling the registry for 1-2 weeks, they are the model student digging into the textbook. But this is information that was meant to be absorbed over the course of a year or 9 months in some programs. Number 3 is the amount of time you study. You're going to need 2 to 3 hours of study time for every 1 hour of lecture. When we go through the text, we don't go over every bit of material in the book. We pick and choose the stuff that requires explanation or expanding on, but there's not enough time in a paramedic course for us to go over every part of that book. So it's kind of built on the assumption that you're spending a good bit of time looking at it. This is also going to make you a better provider, and I don't know an EMT, advanced EMT, or paramedic that doesn't want to be good. If you're that student that's just going to go to lecture and then take the test, you'll probably get through the test. It all depends on your instructor and the way the tests are made up, but you're not going to have the information needed for National Registry or to be a good provider. So you really need to dedicate some time to studying and knowing that material. It's not going to come easy. You're going to have to work at it. But the EMTs and advanced EMTs I know struggling with this idea, they're not afraid of work. They're afraid of failure. Which takes us to our 4th point. You may have to change up your learning strategy. Now, I'm not talking whether you're a visual learner or a book learner. That's a whole different topic for a whole different video. I'm talking about understanding versus memorizing. Thanks, public education system. But a lot of us will go into school and we're just trying to memorize vitals associated with conditions and keywords and test questions. But when you're in that stressful situation, whether it be National Registry or a critical patient, you're going to have a hard time recalling it, and you're not going to be able to connect the dots. You're not going to be able to make decisions because you're just going off raw data. You have to intimately understand the information so it's more intuitive. I want you to think about going to your car. You don't think, okay, I got to put the key in the ignition. Which way do I turn it? I got to put the gear shifter, press it. No, you just do it. That's because you understand it well enough to where you don't have to think about it. And that's where we're going to have to get you to in paramedic. Number 5 is one of the hardest. But you need to talk to your friends, family, and partner and have them involved in this decision. It's going to take time away from them. And if they don't understand the time commitment and what this is going to take for you to be successful, you're going to find yourself in a predicament to where you're trying to choose between your school and your relationships. But if you can get them on board and investing in you earlier, they'll be the ones rooting you on. And in the same hand, you need to give them accolades. When you have your National Registry certification, you're walking across graduation stage, it's not just because of how awesome you are. It's because you had a family circle that wanted you to be successful. And while you busted your ass for 12 months, they gave up time with somebody they care about. I hope this video helped. I know a lot of great EMTs and advanced EMTs that would make even better paramedics, and they are so intimidated by the school. And a lot of paramedics will propagate this by making it sound really hard. But I'm telling you, if you had the intelligence to get through EMT, you have the intelligence to get through paramedic. Just do you have the grit? So in other words, don't ask yourself if you can complete paramedic. Ask yourself if you're willing. Until then, stay safe. If you have any questions, hit me up.